The JacobSon TCP IP header compression. What is it? It's a protocol that allows for the reduction of the TCP IP header combination size to be reduced from 40 bytes down to as little as 3 or 4 bytes after the initial connection is made. In other words, packets are made smaller by sending only the data that has changed. Smaller packets allow us to transmit more data in a given time. What is it used for? It's used for just that. It was designed for slow networks, and I mean slow. 300 bits per second minimum with a max just over 19 kilobits per second. Like I said, really slow. By reducing the header size, this allows for more useful data to be transmitted in a given time frame. Redundant data is not sent with this protocol. With every transmission, this frees up bandwidth. Some strengths and weaknesses. It's a fairly simple protocol. It is simply removing data that has not changed. It also cuts down the total header size. The initial header is 40 bytes long. All subsequent headers following that are between 3 and 16 bytes. These, however, are typically 3 or 4 because not all the bytes that can change do change at the same time. Also, higher the BPS, the higher the efficiency. This protocol gets more efficient the faster your bandwidth is. Also, all info is sent in about 120 microseconds. This is just an arbitrary number picked when the protocol was created. It's based off the fact that most devices at the time were running 64 kilobit per second connections. Some weaknesses: when the data is compressed, there's a little bit of overhead doing those calculations. Same is true when decompressed. Also, the compression removes some of the error checking involved. So the overall error checking has to be replaced. For example, the checksum changes. Here we have the TCP IP header pair. As you can see, there's 40 bytes of data that need to be sent. All of this data is sent initially. Once a connection is established, however, the items in red do not change. Also, because of the way the data is removed, because so much data is removed from the TCP IP header, total length can be removed. And as a result, the TCP header checksum doesn't make sense to be sent because it is essentially checking the checksum of the packet ID. As a result, you can compress all this data down into this header. This is the compressed TCP IP header. As you can see, it ranges between 3 and 16 bytes long. Some of the important items to note are the connection number, the TCP checksum, and then the values with a delta next to them simply indicate that they are only sent when changed. And instead of sending the raw data, they send the difference. Here's an example of an FTP example. In the case where the sender sends to the receiver, only 4 bytes are sent. They consist of the 2-byte TCP checksum, the difference in the sequence number, and the difference in the IP ID. On the other side, when the receiver sends back to the sender, 5 bytes are sent. These include the 2 TCP checksums, the change in the window, the change in the acknowledgement, and the change in the IP ID. The remaining data is not sent. For more information, you can check out the RFC 1144 documentation or Java Networking Management and Security. Thank you.